In My Mug, episode 380 on Monday, the 22nd of February 2016. I am your host, Stephen Layton. Welcome to In My Mug. I am very ill, but we're going to persevere on with the news. Yeah, so I am not well. I woke up early this morning with what is suspected food poisoning, but I have to record this as I'm flying to Guatemala tomorrow. So, powering and battling through to record two of these because of being in Guatemala. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm very sorry if I don't do a good job on the next two, but we have two amazing coffees coming up. There's got a new range launching called Has Been Exclusive. It's actually launched already. You can go and buy them on the website. They're beautiful packaging. There's an image on the screen now of the packaging. It really is beautiful. So, and also the coffee's beautiful as well. So these are very special selected lots that are super small and just one-off runs. So I hope you enjoy those. New cupping bowls. New cupping bowls are gone on the site. They're beautifully shaped and we're very, very happy with them, and I'm sure you're going to be happy with them too. So if you want cupping bowls, we have them all on the site. And that was the news. So we should get on to Focus On, and this week's Focus On is on something that's very dear to my heart, which is the Rwandan coffee industry. So when most people think of Rwanda, they think immediately of the horrible genocide that took place like 19, 20 years ago now. They left, some say 800,000, some say up to 1 million, but fairly sure around about 10% of the population were killed in that genocide. And the rest of the world didn't really do what it should do. And I certainly hope lots of lessons were learned from that. But the one thing that came out of it was Rwanda had a very dark history of coffee production. So the Belgians went in 1930s and just planted rubbishy, low quality, horrible coffee just to supply the commodity market, which meant that Rwandan coffee prices never got very high. It was not very well received in the market. And whenever anybody said about Rwanda, they were just like, oof, that's the poorest quality you can get. And that was up until after the genocide. So after the genocide, it also coincided with coffee prices going through the floor. So there was an awful lot of aid organisations that came in, USAID being one of the main sponsors of it, went in and helped build washing stations and helped develop coffee and took it to the place where they ended up having the first ever Cup of Excellence in Africa in Rwanda. And for this tiny coffee country, it's absolutely phenomenal. And they produce a lot less than they did back then, but the quality is a lot better, as we're going to find out in a few moments. It really has created lots of jobs, it's created lots of added value. The fact that they're doing their own processing and the communities own their own washing stations and things like that has really helped for them to get more money. But it's also acted very much as a catalyst for reconciliation. So between the Hutus and the Tutsis, who in coffee you very often find working side by side and working together and putting aside their differences, it is really a success story. In fact, obviously you never want anything bad like a genocide, but this really is something that was a real success. Anyway, that was Focus On. So this coffee is from Kieri district in the eastern province of Rwanda, which is around about 4-hour drive from the capital city, Kigali. Cherries are delivered to the station, they're sorted. I was desperate to find out information about this coffee. We even found out what style of pulper they have, which is a 3-disc knockoff for all of you pulping geeks. But then it goes through like a triple fermentation. So it has 12 hours wet, and then they transfer it and take the water away and have a dry fermentation of 18 hours, and then it's soaked again in water for 24 hours to make sure all the mucilage is removed and taken away. The parchment is then rinsed, sorted, placed on raised African beds and left to dry. Drying takes around about 20 days, which seems quite a long time, but then, excuse me, sorry, it's 20 days, which seems quite high, but then when you find out they turn it every 30 minutes during the day to keep the drying even, it means that it's going through that constant churn, which means it'll take longer for it to dry, and I think adds to the uniqueness and the special part of this coffee. They also cover it over during extreme sunlight, so it doesn't get overexposed and dry too quickly. It's then moved from the mill to Kigali for a dry mill, which basically sorts through all the broken beans. Anything that's wrong with it gets taken away, and then it's bagged, and then it's shipped out through Tanzania, because there is no port. It is a landlocked country. I was saying in the focus on about how Rwanda produces less coffee than it did before the genocide, and it ran about half the amount of before the genocide, but it is so much better quality now. They've really taken advantage of the help that was put forward from international aid organisations, and it is really fantastic to see how much Rwandan coffee is coming on. I think year on year it gets better and better, yeah, the whole thing with the Cup of Excellence has been fantastic. Rwanda is called the country of 1,000 hills, which basically it just tells you how hilly and mountainous the whole range is. It really is varying altitudes as you go through them all. Okay, we should go through the figures. So it's from Rwanda. It's from the Eastern Province, which is the region it's from. The district is called Kieri. The mill is called Migongo Washing Station. The altitude of the mill is 1,500 metres. You tend to find that that's the lowest point because everybody brings their crop down to the washing station. There's around about 700 people that contributed to this lot. It is a Bourbon, and it is a triple fermented, fully washed coffee. And I think that's everything. So now it's time for what's going to be a vague map bit. We're in Africa, for God's sake.
So here we are. I'm in Stafford, but I'm really not in Stafford. I'm actually in Guatemala. But we'll pretend that that isn't a thing, and we're going to go up, 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 up. And instead of going across the Atlantic that we always do, we're going south to Africa. And in particular, we're going to focus in on Rwanda. Tiny country of Rwanda. One of the few countries in Africa I've actually been able to visit. Now, I did warn you this is going to be very vague this week, but this is a good fact. Rwanda has a community cleaning day on the last Saturday of every month. I've been there while that's happened, and they literally, everybody has the morning off and they sweep and clean the streets. Everybody has to. It's the law. And that's why Rwanda's such a clean country. But we're kind of zooming down here, and we're zooming down to the area of Karine, and you can see there to the right the lakes, and above the lake you've got this little mountain range that sits between where this week's coffee's from. So the lowest point of Rwanda is the Ruzizi River at 950 metres, and the highest point is the volcan Harasibima at 4,500 metres above sea level. No below sea level because, well, it's a landlocked country. That was a terrible map bit.
I told you a vague map bit, I'm very, very sorry. But what won't be vague is Roland's daft fact of the week. Flip-flops and carrier bags are illegal in Rwanda, so don't get carrying your flip-flops off the plane or in the carrier bag, otherwise they'll have them off you. That man taught the truth. Okay, it's time to whap you on pause, get tasting delicious drinks. Be back with you in just a second. So I'm back. You may have seen me looking around earlier for the cupping bowls. These are the cupping bowls. They're damn pretty, and you should definitely buy some. They're a little thicker than the last ones. Just means they retain the heat a little better in them, and we tried a lot of different shapes, and that was definitely our favourite. So, oi. Wow. Think lemon juice. Think this is kind of quite sad because it's the week after Pancake Day, but this is lemon juice, like Jif lemon juice. It really is super citrus, like really in your face. A little bit of a white sugar sweetness too, but yeah, that's too much for me as espresso. That is not my bag whatsoever. And again, through the milk, I find there's a little bit too much acidity for me. There's a little bit too much. It's tart, and that's great, but it's like, I don't like my espressos like that. You might. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad espresso. I'm just saying it's not an espresso for me. But this is where I love this coffee. I want you to think white grape. I want you to think lemon again, but that grape actually gives it more body. It's got more substance, and the white sugar sweetness really comes through in the brews. Like that dilution, instead of the intensity, actually improves it. It just opens it up. For me, not a great espresso, but a delicious brewed coffee. Okay, time to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining me, as always. And do remember, life is definitely too short for bad coffee and food poisoning.